Today, Ethan and his fanny pack are taking a well-deserved holiday, and we're crossing over to the world of cars from well-known brands that are only available in China. I'm Mark and I come from Britain. I've been test driving and commenting on the Chinese car market since 2007. I'm very happy to be joining with Wheels Boy to bring you some of my views on cars in the Chinese auto market, the world's largest. Volkswagen truly is the people's car in China. Last year alone, they sold over 3 million cars in the Middle Kingdom through the company's 2 joint ventures and imports. In the eyes of Chinese consumers, it seems Volkswagen could do no wrong. They could produce a cardboard box and stick a VW badge on it and still sell 1 million. Which brings us nicely to this car, the Lavida. Or more precisely, the e-Lavida, as this is the electrified version, in drivetrain, not spirit. With no shortage of local EVs available, how does this compare? Let's find out. While this is obviously a Volkswagen, some commentators on the internet are saying it doesn't look like other VWs. Well, it might not look like ones you've seen outside China. What it does look like is the China-only Passat NMS. Both are made by the Shanghai Volkswagen JV. The e-Lavida is based on the 3rd generation Lavida, a car launched in 2018. It is a compact model designed to give the Shanghai JV something to compete with the FAW-produced Jetta, which being China is called the Sagata. It's a much bigger and more upmarket looking car than the previous 2 incarnations. Only the well-trained are going to notice a huge amount of difference between the e-Lavida and the regular petrol version. On the regular car, it has a horizontal chrome grille. And look here, an e-Lavida badge. If you're wondering why it's blue, well, in the Chinese EV market, blue equals green. There are further badges on the sides and at the back. A strong belt line starts at the headlights and runs all the way to the boot. Another strong line goes on each side of the bonnet into the A-pillar. In addition, contours on the bonnet and the sides of the car add some form. Although it is supposedly a compact car, it is less than 10 centimeters shorter than a European Passat. The e-Lavida retails at RMB 148,900. That's about 18,100 euros. Dealer discounts apparently, though, take it below 100,000 RMB. While the outside might not tug on the heartstrings, it is perfectly acceptable. Where things start to get bad is on the inside. Okay, I understand this is an EV version of a conventional car, but take a look at the Wheels Boy video of the Geely Geometry A for some idea of what the EV competition looks like at a similar price point. Are you back? No, there is no need to increase the brightness of your screen. The e-Lavida really is that dull inside. The instruments are really just out of the conventional Lavida, with a rev counter looking dial converted over to give information about electric charge. In between this and the speedometer is a monochrome digital screen. The infotainment screen really is that small, a mere 7 inches. On most Chinese EVs, the screens are so big they make Tesla blush. Oh, and to operate it, you use a mixture of these side-mounted buttons and the touch screen. Response time and navigation are not particularly good. Plus there is no reverse camera. However, for the price, it's probably fine. 5 years back, if you read a review of a Chinese car, it would be harking on about the hard plastics. I should know, I wrote a lot of them. Oh, what's this? While the 3rd generation e-Lavida is a lot more upmarket than the previous two versions. It inherits the hard plastics from them, and the materials are nowhere near as good as in a Golf. Chinese designs tend to put more emphasis on rear seat comfort than designs for the world market. And here the Lavida does quite well. There's good leg room, there are air vents, and USB chargers. I'm about 1.75 m, 5'9" inches, and there's about a hand space between my head and the roof. What you need to know about this car is that it essentially uses the same setup as the e-Golf. So you have a 100 kilowatt motor, 134 horsepower, driving the front wheels, and it's coupled with a 38.1 kilowatt battery pack, which is slightly larger than in the Golf. This gives you a 278 kilometer, 173 mile range under the NEDC cycle. While this might be fine for pottering around town as a daily commute, a lot of the Chinese EV competition gives you ranges of between 400 and 600 kilometers. How does it feel though? One of the first things you notice is how light the steering is. The Lavida is a Chinese market car and is very much tuned towards the local market taste. Going hand in hand with this is the soft suspension setup, which is fine for ironing out bumps in the road, but is not very good for the handling of the car, for cornering ability. The electric motor has 3 settings, so going from normal through Eco to Eco Plus. When driving in normal, the car is actually quite sprightly and very responsive. Volkswagen strangely only give a 0 to 50 kilometer acceleration time, which is 3.4 seconds. The car feels as if it should do the century, 0 to 62 miles per hour, in somewhere between 7 and 8 seconds. When you select the Eco or the Eco Plus, it dulls the responses and adds to the available range. When you're driving an Eco Plus, it feels as if you're driving a 1.4 litre petrol engine car. Back in 1984, Volkswagen formed a joint venture with Shanghai Auto and then proceeded to sell the second generation Passat as the Santana for the next 28 years. With the first and second generation Lavida, it rode on a platform that was already more than a decade old when launched. Volkswagen has a history of selling low-tech cars in China to willing buyers. With the latest Lavida, this changes. It rests on the latest MQB platform. While it lacks some of the features of some of its Chinese competitors, it's a safe purchase for the average consumer. He's not going to have to explain to his neighbors why he bought a brand they've never heard of, and he thinks it's going to be reliable. It's little wonder that last year the Lavida was Volkswagen's best-selling car. They sold 500,000 of these, and the e-Lavida only adds to that appeal.